Welcome to the Women Leaders Association Daily Member Podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland. And in each Daily Member Podcast, we will pick out a great speaker from one of our meetings that we thought you would enjoy. You can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or find a networking group near you, or if you just need access to the membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Now let's tune in for this incredible message.
I'm the head of the Learning Advantage, which is a coaching and consulting firm that's been around for about 25 years. And I created the Georgetown Coaching Program, which to date has created over 200 coaches. One of the things I'm most proud of is my book, Juicy Work. It's all about helping people find work that they jump out of bed in the morning wanting to go to work, because I feel like our life force comes out through our work. So if we're not doing something we really love, a little bit of us dies every day. So thank you for inviting me to talk about emotional intelligence. It's really important. And it was wonderful to see all of the panelists and Zaina role modeling fabulous emotional intelligence. The reason it's so important is because it really makes a difference. And even better yet, it's learnable. Many of the people I coach are very brilliant, but they stumble through life not being effective because they lack the sensitivity to be in touch with what's going on with their workforce. Daniel Goleman did much study about why smart leaders fail and recognized that IQ is only a threshold competency. What really makes a difference is the emotional intelligence piece of it. The only cognitive ability that shows up is pattern recognition in outstanding leaders. So when he studied successful leaders, and he did much of this work when he was studying leaders at consulting firms, he found that EQ was twice as important as IQ and technical expertise combined. And it was 4 times more important in overall success. And when you go into technical fields, everybody's smart. So IQ isn't really a differentiator. So let's go into what emotional intelligence is as it's defined. So it's these 4 areas: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. On the next slide, you'll see how these show up, where the ones that are personal competence are knowing yourself and being able to manage your emotions and how you respond to situations. The social competence is being able to read the situation, which our panelists talked a lot about, having that social awareness, and also relationship management, being able to build strong, healthy relationships. So let's peel back to self-awareness and what that really means. So this is the real core of emotional intelligence, being able to recognize your emotions and their effects on yourself and others. This can show up when you walk into a room and everybody is very upset and they don't know what's going on because they're reading it off of you. And if you just say, hey, somebody hit my car in the parking lot, I'm in a bad mood, everyone relaxes, because then they know that it wasn't something they did. It's also being able to do an accurate self-assessment, to know what your strengths are, to be confident in them, and to know your limitations. And the panelists talked a lot about self-confidence, knowing your sense of self-worth, your capabilities, and not being afraid to let others know how important that is. When we talk about self-awareness, it correlates highly to how happy you are at work and at home. When you're doing things that matter and that you care about, there's this whole feeling of success. And they found that in terms of job performance, 83% of the people high in self-awareness are top performers. So this is a competence that makes a big difference. Now, if someone asks, can you build emotional intelligence? Absolutely. So let's look at ways to build self-awareness. One of the first things you can do is read 360s. I'm sure many of you have had self-assessments, 360 assessments. You can also ask others for feedback. And the best way to ask is, what am I doing that makes things work well? What would you say are my unique strengths? And if I did something differently, what would make me more effective? So that's an easy way to ask the question without triggering people. No one wants to respond to the question, what am I doing wrong? And then thirdly, keep a journal. Reflect on your feelings. I think about meetings that didn't go well, and I make some notes, and I look at it later and say, what did I do? What could I do differently that would make things better? So that self-awareness is really key to you being as emotionally intelligent as you can. So the second piece is on the self-management scale. And this is where you're managing your emotions. All of us feel things. We get triggered in meetings. Like when we were talking about people interrupting you when you're trying to do your presentation. And so you can overreact and that won't work. So the key here is being able to manage your emotions, having that self-control. And people who erupt and lose themselves lose the credibility of their audience. It's also being adaptable, because if you can't manage change, you're probably not going to be very effective in this world. And the last one was the ability to delay gratification. They found that people who could delay gratification were much more effective than those who needed immediate responses to what they were asking for. So let's think of about a time you lost it. Do you ever have an amygdala hijack? So your response was out of control to what was going on. It seemed illogical. I can think of a time I was talking to a customer service rep after 4 months of being billed for something that I didn't do. And all of a sudden, the screen came down and I absolutely saw red. So what happened is I was just tense, tight. All of my brain cells were focused on wanting to jump through the phone and wring that person's neck. Luckily, I didn't. I took a deep breath. The consequences of that would have been that I wouldn't have been able to make things better. So why I did it because I was frustrated. I didn't feel like I was being listened to. What you want to think about is, how do you change that default response so that you don't get triggered? Have all of you felt the amygdala hijack at some point? And it's very embarrassing, especially if you're losing it in front of other people. So let's talk about how you can change that response. So this is what I have studied for 10 years, being a somatic coach, was being able to be in my body, being calm, being open and curious, confident, relaxed. And the way I know is if I'm in a meeting, I put my hand over my tummy. And if my breath is moving my hand out, that means I'm calm. I'm centered. I can handle things. So some people practice being centered by walking. If they're in a tense situation, they walk around the block. They go outside. They get in nature. Or maybe you have a picture on your desk that reminds you of what matters. Maybe it's your child or your pet. Making sure that you have different things that can help you find that center inside of you so that no matter what happens, you have a sense of calm. So let's go to the third area of emotional intelligence, and that's social awareness. The empathy that came up from our panelists how many times that empathy made a difference in their relationship with their teams and with others. The second piece is the organizational awareness. Understanding and empathizing with things that are going on, the politics, being able to read what's going on politically, and recognizing that there are times when the best idea doesn't win because something's already been decided. And your ability to see the politics at play and respond to it makes you so much more effective. And then being able to take in what's going on, not just the words, but as Jessica said, the feelings, the body language, because the content is only a tiny piece of it. And the more you can read through your body and feel what's going on, the more effective you'll be as a leader. Next slide. So relationship management taps into the abilities that are in all the other phases of EI. So using your emotions and those of others to manage interactions, how you build bonds. Think about the times when, because of your caring and your empathy towards someone else, you were able to establish a relationship and work through conflict when others couldn't get through it. And being able to build relationships even with people you may not like. And this is a tough one. And this is where I see in my coaching practice that women are different from men. Men are used to playing in games with people they may or may not like, whereas women tend to pick a best friend or a couple of friends. So we tend to build relationships with people we like, which is limiting. The more we can build relationships with everyone, the more effective we're going to be able to be. So thinking about how you communicate, especially when you're stressed, how you resolve disagreements, and how you collaborate with others. This is where relationship skills make a huge difference in your effectiveness as a leader, as a team leader, and bringing other people along. And that's the powerful thing about emotional intelligence, is you can develop it. So if you shift your responses to feelings, if you're able to change your behavior in the moment and have a flexible leadership style, then you can create environments where people can perform. It doesn't happen overnight. I wish it did. It's something I've been working on for a lifetime. And each time I have an interaction that goes well, that I wasn't expecting to, I do a little check-in and say, what did I do differently this time that helped that interaction go more effectively? And when it doesn't, I also do that check-in and say, what can I learn from this situation? Because every day we get the opportunity to practice and to develop greater emotional intelligence.
Hey, my friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and share your biggest takeaway. And if you're wanting more, you can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. You can also get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or a networking group near you. Or if you just need to access your membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Because here at Women Leaders Association, we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. That's all for today, my friends. Bye for now.